Let's go. Welcome, everybody. We are back with another episode of the Three-Man Rush podcast. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, there's only two men, so you're like, why is it Three-Man Rush podcast? Well, our normal co-host, Jared, is not available. He had something come up tonight, so he's got to take the night off. Sending him some good vibes, but luckily, think he's going to be back with us tomorrow for the last episode of the week. So not really a long hiatus. He should be back soon. So, I know our videos generally do well with Jared. I don't know, you don't like.
He's got the magic touch.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if you are joining us, I'm your host Landon Oliver here with my other of the three co-hosts, Andrew Scott. We're going to be taking you through Week 2, Part 2 preview. But first off, before we get into any of that, just want to give a huge shout out. Finally up to 50 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Also too, like everybody that's followed us on Twitter, everybody that's retweeted the stuff, just want to give you a big shout out and thank you guys so much for the support. Shout out as well our girl Shayna. She is the co-host of a podcast that's called Live Laugh Fuck podcast. It's a hilarious name. And if you've never listened to it, it is a hilarious show. Like those two are wild on that show. It's so funny. So yeah, go ahead and give them a follow on Twitter at their handle as well, at Live Laugh Fuck Podcast. And then follow them as well. Support their show. Sorry for the profanity, but I mean, hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's all good.
Yeah,
our audience should expect it.
I was going to say it's not the first time we've dropped f bombs, but yeah, I mean,
No.
yeah, don't go searching for that if you can't handle some real talk though, because it's some real shit on there. Like it's such a funny show. So yeah, big shout out to her and their podcast as well for supporting our show. Just want to give them a quick plug. And all the other people, like I said, that have subscribed here. So I don't know if you're able to see any, Andrew, we got shout outs.
So I was gonna say, we went from 46 to 50 today. So I wish I could shout out all four, but it looks like 3 of them had their subscriptions private. But we did have somebody by the name of Kado, Kado, that had their subs public that I was able to see today. So shout out to you. Shout out to the other 3 that subbed to us today to help get us over 50.
I know my boy Chad on Twitter, Chad Zapf. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Like, don't kill me if I screwed that up, my man. Just correct me if I did get it wrong. But he's also a really good follow on Twitter, so he gave us a subscription as well as there was another account, cult account, which really I think this was just more cult accounts, but it didn't have their full name or their name at all. Really, it was just like a cult account. But just want to pull that up.
Yeah, definitely. And while you're doing that, 50 subscribers to a lot of people might not be a big deal, but to us, I mean, we've been doing this for, like 2 years now. And the climb from no subscribers to 20 subscribers felt like a huge struggle. So, getting from 20 to 50 in the shorter amount of time we have is really cool. And it's really appreciative to see the support that's been handed out to us. And now the next milestone is to get up to 100 subscribers and be able to, at that point, we can change our www for our YouTube. We can customize that, have our own little legit customized link to our YouTube channel once we hit 100. So another fun little milestone to look at there for
so
our
it looks
own
like
URL.
Yeah, so it looks like it's Two Stags at Two Stags 2 on Twitter. They helped the channel out as well. And T.Y. Hilton fan forever, love the name. At KLP 39519. She helped our channel out as well. She subscribed as well. So thank you guys so much for that. And like I said, love the T.Y. Hilton name because I don't know if you did know, they put up a Thanks for the Memories banner today for T.Y. Hilton at Lucas Oil.
Oh, so that made it a little bit more real, huh?
Man, killed me. As you can see behind me, there is an autographed T.Y. Hilton jersey. Can I get it? Oh, there we go. All right.
Yeah.
There's an autographed T.Y. Hilton jersey behind me, man. He's been one of my favorite players since the moment he entered the NFL. So yeah, it's a little bit of a bittersweet day for me. Just knowing that, in all actuality, they're probably moving on. He's probably never going to be, other than when he retires, he probably won't be in a Colts uniform again. So that's it's been
Could
tough.
be a special day whenever he gets his number. You think he'll get his number retired? Is
That's
it at that level? I know it's not easy
Dude,
for to do.
they haven't retired Reggie Wayne. They haven't retired Marvin Harrison.
Oh yeah, they got some guys to take care of if Ty
Yeah.
wants to have a chance. Then
Yeah, I don't know if
that's
he'll be
a huge honor.
right. Yeah, I don't know if he'll have his jersey
Regardless.
retired. The last guy that I really know that had his jersey retired was Peyton. Like no,
Yeah.
like and you're talking.
I was there for that one.
Yeah, you're talking about like Super Bowl teams, like it's that level of like. So I mean, yeah. Now I will say this: T.Y. Hilton will 100%, 1,000%, he will be in the Colts Ring of Honor. He'll have his name up in this thing, for sure.
Yeah, well deserved.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Like, yeah, he's been such a joy to watch. One of my top 5 favorite players ever. One of my top few favorite Colts ever. Like my 3 favorite Colts of all time are Reggie Wayne, Peyton Manning, and T.Y. Hilton's probably number 3. So
yeah,
it's been a rough day for me. It's been hard to see that. Thanks for the memories, Banner. But you're not here for a cult show. Well, some of you might be.
Yeah,
a lot of Colts fans subscribe here. So
but
thank you guys.
one more shout out though. Speaking of the Colts show, if you are here for the Colts show, you're at the wrong show because we talked about the Colts last episode, which is the point that I'm getting to. Big shout out to you guys on YouTube because the part 1 of our week 2 preview is already up over 100 views in less than 15 hours. It's our number 1 performing video compared to our other, our last 10 uploads. The subs, the views, you guys have been going crazy, and it's really cool to see, man. It's dope, and it's very appreciated.
Colts Nation Twitter, man, like
Colts fans goes wild, man.
Yeah, man, like they show love just as good as anybody in the world, man. That's such a cool community to be a part of, such a cool Twitter community to be a part of. And I just, like I said, I just want to say thank you guys so much for helping us out, helping me out.
I said in the off season that I thought the Chargers would be like my AFC team since I'm a Rams fan, but with all the love Colts fans have showed us on these episodes, and then even like whenever I went and watched the Colts Rams game last year in Indy, how cool all the Colts fans were there. Other than the one guy that was hoping Stafford would get hurt once he got hurt, but there's every team has bad apples. Like I didn't hope that.
There's definitely some odd Colts accounts.
And that goes for every NFL team. But in a vacuum, I had a great experience in Indy. So considering that and considering how much Indy fans have supported the show, I think I have to go with Indy as my AFC rooting interest. As much as I like the Chargers and what they got going on, the Colts Nation just shows this show way too much support. So I can at least return that favor in a small way.
Yeah, man. And I mean, look, man, like they might not win, they don't lose, but they might not win. But I'll tell you what, one of the greatest joys you can have on football Sunday is watching Jonathan Taylor run the football. So,
amen to that.
You're never going to be disappointed with him and Michael Pittman. So
that run he had that you posted on Twitter that kind of popped off. That was just, the vision on that was so stupid. Like,
dude, and it was like that. So yeah, so when you're going through the all 22, also like you look at the numbers, you're like, wow, 31 carries, 160 yards, touchdown. You're like,
looks great on the stat sheet.
Yeah, it looks great on the stat sheet. And then you watch the film. And I mean, like there was multiple plays like that I could have posted. I didn't want to go like wild with it, but I mean, like there were tons of plays like that. That one was obviously like one of the coolest ones because that jump cut when he hit the hole, like his acceleration so quick. But yeah, dude, his vision was like, I mean, it was just like on another level.
Yeah, that was so stupid.
It's so fun watching him.
It's crazy just in the short amount of time, like early on in his rookie year.
He was benched like 5-6 games,
Yeah, like his vision was concerning, and it was on tape. You could see he was missing holes he should have been hitting. And it's like you'd think he has 5 years of experience under his belt with how much he's improved in such a short amount of time in that area. It's just
it also too like that. I will say like And I think I echoed this at the time whenever all that was going on.
The difficulty of picking up
Yeah,
Frank Reich's offense.
yeah, like the blocking scheme for like rookies, like running backs like that, like it does take a while for that. Like it was kind of the same thing with Marlon Mack, where like Marlon Mack didn't really hit the holes, and stuff like that early on. And then you saw once he got comfortable, he 1,200 yards, rushing there that next year. And then obviously the injury happened and kind of derailed things, but he was a
Right.
12, he was 1,000-yard rusher the next year early on. And so yeah, I mean, it takes these rookies a little while, but once they hit, man, like, but I mean, even saying that, like, regardless of running scheme, regardless of Frank Reich or anything like that, he's a special player just in general.
Yeah, you can tell he's a student of the game. So,
He's
stuff like that, having areas that he needed to improve on, there was no doubt that he was going to make it happen. And he's just such a special athlete, man, that whenever you get that blend of incredible athleticism and work ethic and wanting to get better, that you get incredibly
not on
special
top of
players
that,
like Jonathan Taylor.
he's a special person too. And I think that's what makes it so much cooler as well. As like
Yeah.
he's a guy that you root
He's a
for.
guy it's easy to root for.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He's so good. But anyway, like we said, shout out to Colts Nation. Let's move on, though. We do have other teams to talk about here. We are an NFL show, not necessarily a Colts show. As much as I would love to be a Colt, like just to talk Colts all day, we do have some other stuff here to cover. So let's go ahead and pop in. So if you did not know, like this is part 2, which if you watched part 1, you kind of know how this is going to go. We will give you the later games now, the 305, 325 for us, or 405, 425. I know a lot of people, especially all the Colts fans that do watch, they are in Eastern time zone, so we are central here. And then we'll have the Sunday night game and both Monday night games, which I'm really excited to get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and Colts fans, you will enjoy that segment for sure. If you want to stay till the end for the Monday night. All right, so yeah, let's pop off here. Seattle Seahawks at 49ers. What a game for the Seahawks, man. How about Geno Smith?
This is so cool, man.
I loved it. I loved watching that game. It was so cool. And
Geno with the line of the year after the game too. So yeah, they wrote me off, but I ain't right back. that was so dope. That was like the coolest mic drop I've heard in a while.
Yeah, and then I think it was DJ Reed at the end. Or who was the defensive tackle?
Shelby Harris, the defensive
Shelby
tackle
Harris,
that Denver traded.
Let's ride.
Yeah.
Let's ride. He walked away.
Walked off.
He said,
yeah, they was looking forward to that one, man.
How does it feel to get the phone? He's like, well, that's what happens when you trade your defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Kind of like that Sherman interview. Like it wasn't like that Sherman interview is all time. Like
the Michael Crabtree one.
Yeah.
Sorry ass receiver.
That's what happens when you. I was like, man, that's great, man. And,
that one might not
really
ever
cool
be top.
I don't know if you heard Pete Carroll as well. Like Pete Carroll kind of popped off in that podcast.
That was their Super Bowl on Monday night, man.
It reminded me, honestly, not quite because everybody loved Peyton, but when Peyton came back to Indy,
and how hostile Indy was that day.
Well, no, it wasn't. Well,
I don't mean like before the game, but just like during the game, like how crazy the atmosphere was.
So it's funny. So me and Jared, but like we went to that game. We sat in different places, and this was actually before we became friends. We were both there at that game.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
And yeah, and like we met. I mean, like we had met, like we worked together, but we both went to that game, and then literally like a month or two after that is whenever like we became like pretty much like best friend brothers, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Because I moved in with him, we've lived together for years. Before obviously we grew up and we got our families and stuff like that. But
right.
But yeah, man, like it was so cool because going into that game, you got the Broncos, that high flying offense, Peyton Manning's back, like, and they're coming in there and they're just like, well, the Colts, like, like they're a good team, but we don't know if they can stack up to this Broncos team. It's Peyton Manning's first game back in Indy, and I've never been in a stadium that electric. Before the game started, he came out. He did we did a video tribute for him. He came out in the field, waved at everybody. Like everybody teared up. Like I teared. Not even gonna lie. Like I teared up a little bit.
No shame in that.
And yeah, I mean, it was tough to watch, but then like once that snap, he was the opposing quarterback, and like because it was Peyton Manning, that place was so loud, and I can just not imagine one the optics of the Seattle stadium because it's already one of the loudest stadiums, but the fact that
Right.
there's a little bit of bad blood now, it seems like between Russell Wilson, like the ex players, the
Yeah, it
fans,
doesn't
like.
sound like it was a very clean divorce.
Welcoming, yeah, it was not very welcoming like Indy was, and like that's what I'm saying. It's like so like Indy loves Peyton, and like that game was one of the loudest experiences I've ever had at a football game. You know, and then you put that in Seattle, and I'm just like, holy crap! Like what a game! I like, yeah, it was awesome. And look, man, let's not take away from the Seattle players. Like they played their asses off. Not only
Yeah.
that, but this has kind of been a trend for Geno Smith, even going back to last year. He's looked really good, even going back to last
Yeah,
year
he
with
didn't
some of
look
the
bad in his spot starts last year.
no. So I mean, like this. I mean, this might be a little bit of an aberration into like, well, maybe. And see, like this is kind of a problem. And I actually saw something on it that it does kind of like make you think, and it does make you think about stuff like that. But like, you have all these quarterbacks like Brock Osweiler, like Kyle Allen, and not to take anything away from those guys, but like they would get like put in starting positions and stuff like that. And then you have a guy like Geno Smith who's waited long and long and long for another chance, to start, and you're just kind of like, well, like why did that guy have to wait so much longer? Whenever he's clearly a better player as opposed to some of these other guys that have been starting, and it kind of makes you think, well, I know why he had
Yeah.
to wait a little bit longer.
It
But
doesn't take too much critical thinking on that one.
yeah, but yeah, man, it was it's cool to see Gino have some success there. I don't think it was like an like I think Gino's not like I know I'm not saying like he's gonna come out there like I think at best he could be average.
Yeah, he's still
If,
probably a bottom of the league quarterback.
yeah,
But
but
he
yeah,
had he had a great
he played
game.
and
And
and on the flip side of that, San Francisco 49ers, our boy, did not have a great game, which granted,
I don't care
not a
about
lot to
anything
take
that
out.
happened in that game.
Yeah, yeah, there's not really a lot to take out of that game, other than the
No.
Elijah Mitchell injury. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, man,
We're still
there's
churning
not
out
really
running
much.
backs.
Yeah, like there's not really much to take out of that game, because like the conditions were just so awful.
Yeah. No,
Now that being said,
this is the real week 1 game for San Francisco and for Chicago. Like I know Chicago won, so it's not as bad of a look for them. But with how awful that weather was, and if you watch that game, it got so bad at one point they had to like outline the numbers and change the colors of the numbers on the field because it was raining so hard you couldn't tell where they
oh,
were at on the field during the game if you were watching it
well,
on TV.
I loved at the end of it after they won, where Justin Field and the team
They all
slid into the
slid
end
into
zone.
the end zone.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
yeah,
that made for some really cool pictures that I saw
yeah,
on the internet.
yeah.
But
I'm
like
happy.
from a football standpoint, I don't have any take. Like I'm basically just throwing that game out the window.
I
Like that
didn't even
doesn't.
watch tape on it this week. It was one of
No.
those that I watched. We had it on live here on one of the TVs,
Yeah.
and we watched it live, and like I saw kind of all I needed to see. I am curious about George Kittle's status because I think that is.
Sounds like you might miss
Thing.
again this week.
Yeah, he didn't practice today, so that's not very good. But at the same time, I mean, we'll see how it progresses throughout the week. But yeah, I mean, there's not really too much to take away. What I'm curious to see how these teams play this week.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, let's go ahead and get to our pick in this one. I do think the Seattle Seahawks come down to earth. Like I just think it's almost impossible to have that much emotion and that much energy into a game and then carry that over to the next week. Like it's so hard.
Yeah.
Because that type of game takes so much out of you. It takes so much out of your franchise, out of your fans. Like now, granted, this is a divisional matchup, but I'm going to take the
Stuff
49ers.
does get weird. Yeah, I mean, like for me, Seattle was just the much more prepared and ready team for that game in week 1 against Denver. Like Geno Smith was fighting for his starting job in the preseason. Like most of the Seattle's players were playing in the preseason. Denver didn't play a single snap like the starters, so Seattle was just they were more ready in week 1. They were better prepared, and they came out and took care of business. Like not to take anything away from them, but just the reality is
Plus
now.
also too, yeah, you have a veteran coach as opposed to a rookie.
Yeah,
and we kind of saw that play out in this matchup where Hackett was like severely outcoached.
But every team has a game under their belt with their starters now. So that whole, being more ready, stuff like that, that's out the window at this point
Yeah.
as far as something
This
you can
is
use
to
as
me,
an excuse.
So this is the normal start of football season now. 16 games.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is normal.
This is the season we're all used to. This is the real week one
This is
here.
week one. So
But yeah, so I expect a big bounce back from San Francisco in this one. It's at home. I know Seattle's defense looked good. Not to take anything away from that. I don't think they're going to be as good season long as they looked on Monday Night Football. I don't believe in the personnel enough to make that kind of
that
leap.
too, like I said, that emotionally charged atmosphere, like that's kind of a once in a lifetime / season type of, not really
Yeah,
lifetime, but like that's kind of like a once in a season type. Like you said, it was their Super Bowl. So
yeah. So
everything else.
I'm taking San Francisco in this one as well.
Yeah. So now let's get into the next game here. Your boys had a little bit of a letdown last week against the Bills, which
Yeah, just a tad.
yeah, it seems like most teams probably would have had a letdown against that Bills team this last week. That being said, they do get a Atlanta Falcons team coming off once again of a choke job there. I don't know what it is about that franchise that
The
loves to
Falcons
do
are
it.
just gonna Falcon, man.
Yeah,
Like,
man, it's almost impressive at this. Like, I mean, I'm like honestly
yeah,
impressed how you can consistently get up by multiple touchdowns and still find ways to lose.
doesn't
Doesn't
matter
matter
the
who your coach
personnel,
is.
doesn't matter the
Yeah,
coaching.
yeah, it's like
It,
just
it's just baked. I feel so bad for Falcons fans. I cannot imagine the heart attack that they go through on a week to week
oh my
basis, man.
gosh, man.
Like it's like having the same nightmare over and over and over every weekend.
Yeah, it was wild. That being said, there was football played.
Yeah,
That actually happened. Mariota did look pretty decent.
he didn't look
Uh,
bad. They did a
yeah,
good
didn't look
job,
bad.
keeping him on the move.
Yeah, which is kind of how you should use him. So
Mhm.
that was nice to see. They didn't use him like Tennessee did,
Right.
where
Didn't
you
try to
take
turn him
number
into a pocket
yeah,
passer.
yeah, take him number 2 overall, take away everything that he was good at in college, and wonder why he failed.
It's a
Yeah,
bold strategy, Cotton.
yeah, yeah. It did not pay out. It did not pay off. Um, So yeah, let's kind of focus on that a little bit. Drake London looked really good.
Mhm.
Looked like one of the best receivers in that rookie class this last week. Kyle Pitts, not tight end one. Sorry, Jared, not this week. Hopefully we see a rebound. Well, actually, for Andrew's sake, he doesn't really want to see a Kyle Pitts rebound this week. He might prefer to wait till next week.
I'd be fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they
They
win.
Pitts can have a big game as long as the Rams take care of business elsewhere.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a huge
You
Kyle
got,
Pitts fan. I've got some shares, so
I was gonna say,
I
yeah.
would be okay if he has a big game as long as it's not, for a Rams loss. But no, um I was impressed early on with the Falcons. I am curious. They had said that Cordell Patterson might get out of that running back role that he was in last year, but then Damian Williams got hurt early in the game.
Yeah.
They had no Tyler Algier. He was
He still
inactive.
looked really good.
Yeah, and Patterson did. And I think the reality was they knew, like, hey, this is the best player on our roster that can handle these type of touches. Like like, not to say he's better than Drake London or Kyle Pitts, but you're not putting them in the backfield. But Tyler Algier was inactive because Damian Williams was expected to be the early down guy. And so you couldn't just put Algier in there. Now, I would expect Algier would be active in week 2 and probably get some early down work now that they know they're going to need him with the Damian Williams injury. I am interested to see, just for a fantasy perspective and as a Rams fan, like, coming into it with kind of it being unknown how they're going to incorporate their running game. I am curious to see how that plays out. But as far as the passing game goes for Atlanta, there's no mystery to it. It's Drake London and Kyle Pitts. You got Zacchaeus sprinkled in there. He's not a bad player by any means. Like I thought he played pretty
No.
well in week 1 for the parts of the game, the Falcons game I did catch. But it's no secret who they're going to be going to in the passing game. I think with the Rams team coming off that disappointing loss on Thursday Night Football, having that extra time to prepare and just have to sit with that loss in
Well, not like
prime
yeah.
time, I just
Well, not only that, but just like if you look historically, like Sean McVay is one of the most successful coaches of coming back after
coming
a
off a
loss.
loss. Yeah,
So I think that plays a big role into it. I think now
that dude takes that shit personal.
yeah, I mean, like I think like on top of that, they kind of saw um, like some personnel. Like I think Allen Robinson is going to be a lot more involved this week than he was
Yeah.
last week. And let's face it, like if we're just being honest, they're not facing the Buffalo Bills defense this week. You're not going up
No.
against those guys this week. So I still am. This will be a good get right game for them as far as like you want to see hopefully the offensive line gel a little bit better. They're not gonna there's no Von Miller, there's no you know Ed Oliver did get hurt in that game, but I
The
mean
pass rush is much less threatening.
the
in
Bills
this one.
defensive line is much better than
They do
on
still got to deal
paper.
with Grady Jarrett, and he is a problem.
He's a
But
really good player, man. But yeah, so I am curious to see how the Rams kind of focus on getting right, getting back to Rams football that we've all enjoyed over the last couple of years. Still am really concerned for Cam Akers. He did not look explosive at all. Did not look like the
yeah,
old
he,
Cam
he
Akers.
didn't get much of a chance to get into rhythm either. Which
Yeah,
apparently,
with the O
there was
line.
some. Well, and there was apparently like some Cam Akers. I don't know if it was blocking or if it was like the week leading up in practice or what, but there was the Rams. Sean McVay was not shy in basically saying they needed to see more from Cam Akers outside of just touching the ball. So, I still think that Akers is the more talented player, even with the injury. Like, I feel like Darrell Henderson has shown us what he is, and that's a good running back. He's not a bad running back, but he's not a workhorse back. He's not a guy you want in that role.
Well, I don't think either of them in right now. I know, like you kind of got like some rose-colored glasses on it with Cam Akers, but like even just like looking at the touches he did get and like taking the offensive line out of it, just strictly looking at the player,
I mean,
he
go watch that screen pass that got
well,
thrown to him like
it
5 yards
was.
behind the line of scrimmage, and
He
he
did
broke
get
like
yeah.
3 tackles just to get 2 yards. Like,
Yeah, no,
uh,
I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying like on those plays just because, like I said, if you take the offensive line plays out of it, but there were some times where he did have open holes to
mhm.
hit. And he was just slow getting there. He did not have the burst that you would see. Now we hope, obviously that comes back with time and repetitions, and I mean we'll see. But
I still
the
think he takes
Achilles
over, like,
injury.
fantasy aside, I still think he ends up taking over the backfield at some point this year. I do still think he's the more talent. Like, like fantasy aside, I don't care about any of that, and just pure
Right.
talent. I do think he is the more talented player compared to Darrell Henderson. I think Darrell Henderson's a good running back, and if you need him in there, he is more than good enough, and he's really good in the passing game.
Yeah.
Um, but if you comparing the two, a fully healthy and ready Cam Akers, I still think is the best
Oh
option.
yeah,
But it
yeah,
looks like
for
it's going to
sure.
take a
Yeah,
little while to get
100.
there,
Yeah,
though.
yeah. If they were 100% healthy, I don't think it's really any question at all where you would go in that backfield. But it is a little concerning, so I'm curious to see that.
Yeah.
Uh, Cooper Cup still
He's
the
Cooper
best.
Cup. It turns it turns out the answer to who was going to be this year's Cooper Cup is Cooper Cup
Cooper
and
Cup.
Justin Jefferson. but yeah, turns out Cooper Cup is still good at football. So looking forward to another week of that. But I am curious with where Cooper Cup lines up. I'm really curious who gets the shadow treatment on the outside with the lockdown corner they have there in Atlanta. Like I really think Allen Robinson might get some shadow treatment with him purely lining up outside, them having AJ Terrell out there. Um, I know a lot of people are hoping for an Allen Robinson bounce back, and if he gets force fed some targets, I could see it. But I think he's going to end up having a really tough matchup this weekend.
Yeah,
So
Snell's no
this
joke, man.
no, that dude's a stud, man. He is a lockdown corner out there on the outside, and if that ends up being the route they go with how much Cup moves around, um, it could be another rough week for Allen Robinson, even if he does get an uptick in targets. But I do
Yeah,
think it's very similar to last year, early on in the year. Robert Woods, they were basically saying we need to get him more involved. Robert Woods got off to a slow start last year, and right after Sean McVay came out and said we need to get him more involved, the very next game he had like his best game of the year. So it does feel very reminiscent of what they did last year with that. But um, it's not going to come as much of a shocker, but I am taking the Rams to bounce back in this one and get the dub.
yeah. I'm gonna take the Rams as well in this one. I think it's a get right game. And like I said, I trust Sean McVay coming off a loss as much as I trust almost anybody. All right, let's go in here. We got the Cardinals and the Raiders in one of the rough games of the week. I'm not really
I
excited for
think
either.
this one could be fun, man.
Uh, Man, I don't know. I just don't really like either of these teams. I really don't. I mean, like I like some of the players on there, like
Mhm.
obviously like individual players. I'm a fan of, but just team wise, like both these teams are really like just kind of tough to watch for me. I don't really know where to go in this one. Like the Cardinals, like their
This is one of
defense,
the toughest games of the week to
yeah,
pick.
man, like their defense didn't look good. The Raiders' defense didn't look good.
No.
Derek Carr did not look good. Kyler Murray couldn't get anything going. Um, Devontae Adams was Devontae Adams. Like, the dude's so fucking good. Um, on the other side, I mean, like Hollywood Brown's like he's a good player, but you kind of would like to see more out of that connection, which I think that develops obviously as time. It was only week one or preseason week four.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this is a tough game because I don't like any of these teams. Like this could be a shootout. This should, in all honesty, be a
Mm,
shootout.
I
Um,
think it will be.
yeah, this should be a shootout here. And if we're looking at the lines here for this, so right now, I know we didn't do the lines on the other game. Obviously, the Rams are favored to win pretty heavily. I think it is minus 714 favorites. They're favored to win by more than 10.5 points there. 49ers are minus 400 favorites to win with a 9 point favorite as well, point spread there. Let's get in here. Let's see if we can find. Yeah, so right now, like the Raiders are slight favorites in this game. It is minus
Probably just the home
278.
team factor.
Yeah, yeah, and then you've got the there. It's only like a 5.5 point spread on it as well. So they're favored to win by less than a touchdown. The over under though is 51.5. So it is one of the
Yeah.
higher over unders for the week. And like I said, I think Drew like that is going to play a big factor in here. This is a tough game. Um, I'm going to take the Raiders in this one. I'm going to take Devontae. I'm going to take Derek Carr. I still like Derek Carr. He didn't really have a really good week one at all. Outside of throwing to Devontae. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think he could get back here, and I don't know, man. There's something like I don't trust Cliff Kingsbury, which I don't trust Josh McDaniels either. I don't like any of these head coaches. I don't like either of these defenses. Um, yeah, man, this is a tough game. I'm going to take the Raiders though. I'm going to take the Raiders in this game.
Yeah, so I think one of my favorite things from watching some of the stuff from week one back earlier this week was just how badass Adams looked in that silver and black. Like it just like
He's
it looked like he
open.
was, yeah, like he's just so good, man. And it just I don't know. I think just about anybody would look badass in the Raiders uniform. But he's so good, man, and it was just really cool to see that validation of it wasn't just the Packers, it wasn't just Aaron Rodgers. Like he was just absolutely toying with the Chargers secondary last week, and I think he's going to do the exact same thing against Arizona this week. Like this is just a back-to-back great, like with J.C. Jackson. Like I wouldn't expect the Chargers to be a great matchup for wide receivers, but with J.C. Jackson being gone last week, that definitely helped. And then now he gets the Cardinals. Like it's a great start to the year for them. And I think Vegas gets it right with them being the home team is kind of the tiebreaker for me because I do think that this is a close matchup to try to pick between. But with the tiebreaker going to the home team, I am going to take the Raiders as well.
Yeah, so we can move off this one. I'm excited to get this one. And then we get into another possible get right game with the
Yeah,
Texans and the Broncos. I'm going to be curious to see how this one. The Texans,
you got an
is
up
it,
close look at them, so I'll let
I'm,
you break
I'll
that
tell
down.
you, they didn't do anything to impress me. Like literally, it was all like I said,
Mhm.
like the Colts dominated that game, and just every time they would do something good, like they just shot themselves in the foot consistently, which
It was
kind
like
of
it was like most of Houston's success was because of Indy's mishaps. Is kind of
yes,
was
pretty
my
much. Yeah,
takeaway.
but Houston, yeah, did nothing. Like the run game got stuffed. They didn't run the ball well. Davis
What
Mills missed
was
plenty of throws.
what was
Uh,
up with the Rex Burkhead usage compared to Damian Pierce after how
yeah,
good Damian Pierce looked in the preseason, all the hype, and then they as soon as things go bad, they just go to Burkhead. That
and,
that was
and that
that was
and it looked bad
mind-boggling to
too.
me.
It didn't look.
Yeah, like it wasn't like it was a good thing that they made that move, but
Yeah, yeah.
that
Both
was
those
that was
guys.
mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, both those guys didn't really look too impressive. Now, like Lovie Smith did come out and say like they didn't want to get Damian Pierce more involved this week. Obviously, like we'll see how that goes. Like you kind of have to wait and see, you know, until you see it before you believe it. But yeah, like you know, they're like even the touchdowns. It was kind of you know, there to the tight end. It was more of Indy blowing, like the linebackers blow, which I mean, it's a new defense. These
OJ
linebackers,
Howard played like 5 snaps and had 2
yeah,
touchdowns.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it was more of the Colts blowing coverages because of it's a brand that's their first game as a brand new defense.
Yeah.
Plus Darius Leonard wasn't in there, or Shaquille Leonard, my bad. But yeah, man, like it was a lot more about what the Colts did wrong as opposed to what the Texans did right. And it was almost kind of similar to the Broncos. The Broncos consistently shot themselves in the foot. I posted
back-to-back running backs
I posted
fumbling.
a post today. They were literally probably a total of 6 inches from winning that game by
like 3
multiple scores.
touchdowns.
Yeah, and they lost. So it was very similar to kind of what the Colts did last week, where it was just like self-inflicted wounds. And even then, the Colts didn't lose. Like similar to that, like the Broncos, they only lost by 1, no matter like how hard they shot themselves in the foot. They were still in that game the whole time. So I think now, hopefully, we'll see if Hackett learned his lesson. You know, you're paying a quarterback $250 million, regardless of like what kind of a robot he is or like anything. Like, I mean, Russ is so weird. He's such a weird dude, man.
He's a weird cat, man.
Like there was a video posted today or something. Like he was doing
guitar video.
No, it was like some kind of TikTok where he was like,
the
he's like, what? Yeah, and he was just like,
family,
family. And like I'm watching him and I'm like, man, this dude is so weird. Like he's so cringy. Like it's like a robot. Like it's not even a real person.
Yeah, we're in a simulation.
Man, like what an odd character, man. But I mean, he bagged Ciara, so good for him. Like.
And the dude's still a.
If you grew up in the like if you were a teenager in like the early mid 2000s, like me and Drew were, like Ciara.
Yeah, we're all fucked up that Russ.
Yeah, which is kind of weird because like us and like we're like the same age as Russ, basically. Like you know we're the same age as Russell Wilson is at this point.
We're cringing our own different way.
Yeah, man.
I'm not making TikToks.
I don't even have TikTok, bro.
No,
like,
me either. Me either.
But yeah, man, man, he's a weird cat. But I think you know, I'm curious to see how they learn. I will say this, man, I love the usage of Javonte Williams in the passing game. Big fan of that. He looked awesome.
I think Cooper Kupp was the only guy that had more receptions in week 1. Like
maybe
big time usage.
But yeah, man, he showed out for sure. Melvin Gordon's looks good as well. Like both those guys are like they're going to rotate them.
It's going to
be better or worse. It's going to be a rotation. But it is nice to see the passing game usage go to Javonte.
That was definitely.
So yeah, man, I'm curious to see like this defense that bounce back. Now Justin Simmons did get put on IR today.
Oh damn, that sucks.
So yeah, like that's a big loss for that secondary. Yeah, Justin Simmons is put on IR today. That's a big loss for that secondary there. He's one of the best safeties in football. So I'll be curious to see if the Texans try to send Brandon Cooks deep. But Patrick Surtain is incredible.
Oh, that dude's so good. He's so good, man. He's on his way to stardom. Like
for sure. Yeah, for sure. So and then we'll see, man. Like we'll see if they can cut the penalties down, the self-inflicted stuff. But I fully expect them to. I think. Plus, like Drew said, man, like this team played no starters in the preseason, like none. None of those guys got snaps. So that was kind of like their dress rehearsal going into what is now week 1.
The Texans at home coming off that disappointing loss. I think Denver has a really big week this week. I think, like, no disrespect to Lovie Smith, he did a great job with this team, with what he was given. But I think Denver exploits the holes in that team, and I think they have a big day on Sunday.
Yeah. All right. So we're both taking the Broncos here, and if you were not aware, let's get into. I'm pretty sure the money line on that one as well. Let me pull it up here. Get my little. Oh goodness, where is it at? I keep scrolling further down. All right. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so Broncos minus 500 favorites to win. So pretty big favorites. 46-point over under, and they're favored to win by more than 10 points on the point spread. So probably safe to say that's how this game's going to play out. So the next game we're going to get to here, we do have the Bengals and the Cowboys. Obviously, the Cowboys, big news. Dak Prescott's out, safety's out. Like the whole team is just banged up.
Man.
Not only that, but Mike McCarthy's still the head coach. So
just bad news all around.
Bad news all around if you're a Cowboys fan. I will say, like, so my mom obviously is a Packers fan. My stepdad is a Cowboys fan.
Wow, that must make for some fun rivalries with the Packers and Cowboys.
It was. It's pretty funny. We were sitting here. They were over here watching as well. We had a little football party here Sunday, and they were watching. And the Colts lose. Then the next hour, the Packers lose. And I told him, I'm like, you're next. Like, like the trifecta, man. And boy, did they ever! Because I talked to my mom like a little because he went to bed early, just because he has to get up and work so early. So he didn't watch the whole game. But yeah, I told him, I was like, as bad as our week ones were, like we tied. You guys lost to the Vikings. I was like, nobody had a worse week than the Dallas Cowboys did. Not only did they not score a touchdown, like they're the only team that did not score a touchdown on the week. They lost their starting quarterback. They lost one of their defenders as well.
I think another offensive lineman too.
Yeah, one of their other offensive linemen.
They're already missing Tyron Smith.
They're already
several months.
Yeah, man, it's bad news all around here.
It does not look good for Dallas. And then their reward is they get fucking Cincy. Awful loss.
Yeah, Burrow.
Oh man, Burrow's about to throw 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, like that guy's. You were talking about a guy that takes things personally. Joe Burrow seems like the guy.
Yeah.
Plus, like I said, the Cowboys, like Mike McCarthy's still the head coach. He's actually, I took a bet out a couple months ago, and
he's going to be the first head coach fired.
First head coach fired. Yeah. So
it's a good bet.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and pick this guy. I think we're both have the Bengals here. The Bengals are minus 345 favorites to win, so pretty decent.
It's pretty good for a road team.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, like there's no Dak Prescott, so it's not like a huge.
I expect this. I expect this line to change as well as the week goes on, but they are favored to win by more than 7.5 point. It is a 8.5 point spread as well. Low scoring game though, 43-point over under. I think they're expecting most of those points to come from the Bengals.
Actually, and I will say
I'll take the over on that. Honestly, I think there's more than 43 points.
Maybe I'm not expecting a lot out of since he's going to have to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think the Broncos could possibly. I don't know if you saw the last time Trevon Diggs and Jamar Chase played in college.
Oh, in college, yeah.
It did not go well.
I don't. I mean, the internet might not like it, but I think Trevon Diggs is one of the most overrated players at his position with how he's heralded. Because I understand he had some picks last year and shit, but
I didn't just have some picks. He had a lot of picks.
He did. And
at the same time,
he got cooked a lot too, and like. I wouldn't think he was overrated if like we were just talking about him in just like the grand scheme of things, but like whatever, like people try to put him in that like shutdown
Ramsey,
corner, like Jair Alexander, Jalen Ramsey, like you put him on this side of the field and that side of the field is a race. Like no, you put him on the side of the field by himself on an island. If he's up against a top receiver in the league, he's getting cooked. He's getting cooked. Like I don't think he's a bad corner. It's just how the general public.
I'm curious too. I think this could be a big Joe Mixon game, and I think too. I'm curious to see T. Higgins. I want to see if T. Higgins is out there this week.
I really hope he clears the concussion protocol. It was all good news today. It sounds like he's going to be good to go. I hope so, but it's just I didn't say this when we talked about Pittsburgh on the last episode, but I expected a big game from the Bengals passing attack last week because I was outside of Minka Fitzpatrick. I was pretty low on the Steelers secondary, and they proved me wrong at least for week 1. So here I am again. asking the Bengals to prove me right. So, Joe, just come out, do what you do best. Jamar, T. Higgins, you guys go to work, do what you do best, and I think Cincinnati takes this game, and it sucks because it's not a fair fight. Whenever you've got your backup quarterback going up against the Bengals, in this team, it is not a fair fight, and it I remember how bad the Cowboys looked the last time Dak got hurt in season, and it just like I'm already just dreading having
Well,
to
they
see
didn't look
that.
good with him in the game either. So,
No, that's why I'm so worried because it looks so bad with Dak in the game that I just cannot imagine how
how
bad
bad
this
is
offense is going to
without
look
him?
once Cooper
Oh,
Rush gets put in there. Like
sheesh.
it's going to be ugly, man. I generally like I know people hate the Cowboys. I generally feel for the Cowboys fans. Like this
Every
sucks.
year, this is our year, and yeah, that's not a way you want to go out for sure.
No,
Um, Especially like that division too. Like all three of those teams in that division
they
won their
look good week one.
yeah, all those
Everybody
teams
outside of
won.
them look good.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean they could be finishing last in their division.
Imagine they end up with a worse record than the Giants.
I think I
Oh
had them
my
finishing third in our preview.
I think you did too, but, like, man, imagine them finishing worse than with how poor the outlook was for the Giants coming into the season. Imagine if the Cowboys end up with a worse record
Tell you what, I
than
trust
the
Brian Daboll
Giants.
a lot more than I trust Mike McCarthy, just even off of one game.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so now let's get into the Bears at the Packers. They're
Speaking of a fan base I feel bad for,
going to
holy.
visit their owner, Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers is about to go fucking I don't care who the pass catchers are. Rodgers is about to go. This man just over and over
Tortures.
he has a personal vendetta against the Chicago Bears, and like I don't give a damn if he has peewee players out there catching balls. He's gonna find a way to go for 300
Yeah,
and a few touchdowns against the Bears.
yeah.
Like
Why I don't know why he always it's just kind of like a Colts in Jacksonville thing, where it's like no matter how good the Colts are, no matter how bad the
yeah,
Jaguars
I don't
are.
give a damn how bad we are. I ain't about to let the Bears come in here and beat me.
Yeah,
No
exactly,
shot.
man. It's wild to watch what Aaron Rodgers consistently does to the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
I don't think that's stopping, anytime soon.
No.
AJ Dillon, and like
You look great.
I know there was some concerning things put on tape last week from the Packers. Um, Obviously, to me, like I, I was wrong on the Vikings. Like I'm willing to admit, like I think I might have been wrong on the Vikings this year. No, I was not wrong on their offense. I love their offense. Their defense is a
Right.
little, but I'll be curious to see how that defense, if they can still play like that. But obviously, the Packers' offensive line looks terrible, but they're missing two All-Pro guys who like should be back soon. And if they come back this game and solidifies that line a little bit more,
Yeah.
Christian Watson dropped a wide open, beautiful throw from Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, it was perfect.
Gorgeous throw. Um, and then like Aaron Rodgers just kind of forced some things. Like I don't think he trusted anybody on that field, man.
It's
So
a
it's
big
wild to
thing
watch.
with Rodgers.
Yeah. Other than I think Romeo Dobbs got some run there later in the game, and it looked like every time Rodgers kind of went to him, something good happens. So I'll
It's
obviously be rooting interest in now, and he's one of my favorite wide receivers in the draft. So
it's worth noting even after the drop. I mean, Christian Watson didn't get targeted the rest of the game, but he still led the team in routes run, I believe, even after that drop. So like he's going to get opportunities again here next week.
plus Alan Lazard was out as well. Alan Lazard did not
Yeah,
play in this game, so
it's
that'll be a
true.
big thing coming back. I know Rodgers does trust him.
He
Um,
does.
so and like I say, like their offensive line gets back. Um, and man, like Jair Alexander, like it's not often you see him get cooked, but there's not
Justin
hardly
Jefferson
anybody in the
did
league like
him
just
dirty.
wow. Yeah, did you see the video where it was like, let me
The
put one
clip
on
where he
one,
covered him one on one.
one
Oh
on
my
one, and
God.
just yeah, Jefferson's just like,
We'll be right back. Yeah.
oh.
Which I'm sure like Alexander. The report came out after the game that Alexander lobbied to get more reps against Justin Jefferson
Right.
because like there were a couple times where he ended up lining up against him, but it wasn't a true shadow game, and
Right.
apparently Jair Alexander wanted it to be. And I mean, even Jefferson's going to win his reps because he's incredible.
Yeah,
But it would have, I have to believe it would have been a better outcome for the Packers if Alexander was on him every single snap.
and
Like,
let's face it too, the Bears don't have anybody like they don't have Justin Jefferson.
no, Darnell Mooney is not cooking. Like he's a good receiver, but he
He's
is not
good.
cooking Jair Alexander the way that the Jefferson did if for a single rep.
What was
Like,
curious too is like like Cole Kmet, the usage there. The Bears did a really good job against the the Packers did a good job. Or Jesus, the Bears did not get him involved at all, hardly. So I'm curious to see.
yeah, the pass game was really weird though
That's
with
such a weird game, though.
the weather.
Justin, I will say though,
That's what I'm saying, man. Like the same thing I said whenever we talked about the 49ers earlier. Throw any evaluation you took away from the Bears game, throw that shit out the window. Like other, if you want to evaluate, like it is
Montgomery
interesting
looked
that
good. Khalil
Da-
Herbert looked good.
it seems like David Montgomery would get 2 drives and then Khalil Herbert would get 1. Montgomery would get 1 or 2. Herbert would get 1. If you want to take that stuff away, that's fine. But from a performance standpoint, don't get too crazy
Yeah,
evaluating the Bears or the 49ers off of their week 1 performance. Like that shit is not going to be normal playing circumstances.
yeah.
So like I don't take any of that to heart for, in terms of the play on the field for that.
Well, whenever we go and pick this game too, if you did not know, so the Packers are minus 500 favorites to win. They're favored to win by more than 10 points, and there's a 43-point over/under as well. So they're pretty heavy favorites in this game. I'm never going to choose the Bears to beat Aaron Rodgers. I don't care, like Drew said, no matter how bad the Packers are, how good the Bears are, they can't beat Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, we're going to take the Packers in this one.
Yep, agreed.
All right, so now, and that is your Sunday night game, by the way. So Sunday night football, Bears,
It
Packers.
is.
And let's move on to Monday now. So very nice game, Titans versus the Bills.
Oh, poor Tennessee.
They get, the layup game. They had everything. The Colts tied, the Texans tied, the Jaguars lost. Everything's looking good for Tennessee. It's like, they counted us out. They counted us out all year. Once again, nobody respects the Titans. We're going to win this division again. And it's week 1. They still might, but they did not take advantage of that
Week 1
opportunity.
did not play out the way you thought it would,
And
or I thought it would.
I didn't play out the way I thought it would either. I picked the Titans to win this game as well. So
Right.
and it's bad whenever I pick the Titans to win. So maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I just need to pick the Titans to win. They'll just start losing every week.
There you go.
Cosmic energy, cosmic karma or something. So when we do get to the Titans, little concerning. I will say this: Ryan Tannehill did look good. The offensive line didn't look as bad, but obviously the Giants were trotting out 3rd and 4th string pass rushers due to injury.
Mhm.
Going to be a little bit different in Buffalo.
It's going to be a lot different.
A little bit different.
Von Miller is about to feast.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. Once again, Derrick Henry did not really look good. I don't know.
He was pretty human, which isn't very Derrick Henry of him.
Yeah, so I mean, like we said earlier, like it's a little concerning with a 250-pound running back who's now going into 28, 29 years old, which is generally when you start to kind of see that drop off. With that many touches on his body now with a plate and metal screws in his foot. I will say, Dontrell Hilliard, though, did look like, he was the pass catching guy there in the backfield. So
he did well with the opportunities he got.
Yeah, so he did a lot there. Treylon Burks didn't look bad as well. Robert Woods.
Him and Kyle Phillips both, like the 2 rookie receivers, Kyle Phillips and Treylon Burks.
Kyle Phillips was a guy that all offseason, if you were paying attention, all offseason, Kyle Phillips
was generating a lot of noise. Yeah,
especially coming out of Tennessee. There, everybody was talking about that kid coming out of there. So, nothing what he did surprised me at all. And like I said, Ryan Tannehill did look good. Like Tannehill was accurate. They got him out on the move again. I think obviously the threat of that play action, just even having Derrick Henry back in the backfield, even when he has bad games, just the threat of him really opens up that for Tannehill. But I said, this is a whole different beast. Like, and that defense did not look good. They let Daniel Jones shred them for most of the day. Secondary did not look good. The defensive line, obviously, their Harold Landry's out.
Bud Dupree had a decent game.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
it's gonna hurt that defense a lot having to go without Landry all year.
Yeah,
That's a huge loss.
And their linebackers as well. Like what worries me there too is their linebackers. Their biggest strength as linebackers are run defense. They're not good at pass coverage at all.
And now they're about to have to play a team that doesn't give a shit if they have to run at all. Like,
that's what I'm saying is like, so your biggest strength coming from these guys is supposed to be run defense. That didn't show
do you any good this week.
Like so like, what are you doing then? If you're not good at stopping the pass, you got to give me something. They didn't do anything well there, and it was just kind of weird to see a Vrabel team come out that unprepared. Normally, it's not that case. Normally, he has these guys fighting and ready to go, and they dropped the ball. And now, like I said, you had a perfect advantage for them to take hold of a 1 game or even a half game lead there in the division to come in. And set that up, and they really dropped the ball. And now, like Drew said, you're rewarded with probably what we consider to be the best roster in football. Might not be the best team, but I mean, they definitely looked like one of the best teams for sure, and they look like the best roster in football this last week. And yeah, man, like this, it's in Buffalo as well, in front of that crowd.
It's their home opener, man.
And I'll tell you this too. Those fans don't forget. We saw the Josh Allen game where he slipped on the quarterback sneak. They heard all the talk from Tennessee fans because for whatever reason, that's what you do whenever you finally have one successful season in 20 years. You get on Twitter and you run your mouth. So, I take that back. 2 successful seasons because they did win the division back to back. So, so whenever you have 2 successful years in the last 20 years, you get on Twitter and you continuously run your mouth at other fan bases. Those Buffalo fans did not forget. So that's going to be like a college environment, I think, too. Not to mention it's the first game of the year in Buffalo. As dominant as that team looked against the defending Super Bowl champions, these fans are going to be rabid. This is a weird game, though, because as we see, like we saw it last year, the year before, these are the games that, the Titans should get absolutely blown out.
Those are the games they win.
Those are the games they win. That being said, I'm not picking them to win this game. I'm going to take Buffalo. This isn't the last couple of years Tennessee. I think Derrick Henry's finally kind of hit that wall where I'm not saying he's a bad running back. He's still definitely one of the better running backs in the league, but I don't think he's upper tier alien Derrick Henry anymore.
Doesn't look like
and we'll see. I might get proven wrong, but all the signs were pointing to that last year where he took a nosedive in efficiency even before the injury happened, and now you have the injury on top of that. And if you can't run efficiently against the New York Giants with their backup defensive line, it's just going to be it's tough. That Buffalo team, man, they're so good. Like Josh Allen's so good. I think Josh Allen's going to have a field day once again. Stephon Diggs is going to cook these guys in the secondary. He's going to be a monster. I'm taking Buffalo for sure. Taking Buffalo.
Completely agree.
I know I kind of took over that segment. I was just shitting on the Titans the whole time. That's what
I didn't disagree with anything you said.
I was going to say anything you want to add. Any Titans things you want to go ahead? And if, by the way, Monday night, Bills are minus 500 favorites to win this game. They're favored to win by more than 10 points as well. So, pretty big favorites there. That's going to be interesting for sure. So, any Titans shit talk you want to get out of your system?
No, I'm good. I didn't disagree with anything you said.
All right, and so this brings us to the last game of the week, probably one of my favorite games of the week. I'm really excited to watch this game, and that is the Minnesota Vikings in Philadelphia taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Both these offenses looked electric this last week, man. They both looked so good. AJ Brown, phenomenal wide receiver. Why you would ever trade a guy like that because you didn't want to pay him? Completely dumbass decision for sure because
it really is though.
I love it. All I could think of when I was watching some of that game is just like every time he would do something, I'd be like, I'm so glad that guy is not on the Titans anymore. Like it made me so happy, man. Like he's
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, man, he's fantastic. Jalen Hurts did not have a very efficient day throwing the ball. Overall, he was one of the least accurate quarterbacks, if not the least accurate quarterback in football. But obviously, got in the end zone with those legs. Those legs are so dangerous.
Multi-dimensional all
And,
over again.
and I do think like consistency has been his key, but I think he has an opportunity here to make a statement with his passing game. That being said, Kirk Cousins looked really good, as he usually does for whatever reason. I don't know why the guy gets the hate he does, but he's just consistently a good to great quarterback. He's
Yep.
not elite, but he's good to great, and it seems like it's that every single week. I will say, unless it is on primetime Monday night, because primetime Monday night Kirk Cousins does struggle for whatever
And
reason.
here we are.
We are primetime Monday night. Justin Jefferson, if it's not Cooper Kupp, that guy's the best receiver in football.
Yeah.
Man, like he's just insane. It's insane how great.
Yeah, and this Kevin O'Connell offense is just gonna take it to another level, man. Like
Crazy.
that
It was
dude was
usage.
so wide open, so
Remember
many
that, like
times.
Dalvin was getting involved in the passing game, which is something we heard all last week, or
Yep.
all off season. Adam Thielen looked to be back and healthy as well. Like he looked really crisp.
Yeah, he'll have his big games too.
Yeah, and like the left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, a guy that we both talked about during the draft process last year, he looked really, really good in this game. Looked really good in that game, going up against the Packers pass rush there.
You know who else looked good? Packers revenge man, Zadarius Smith.
Darius
He had
Smith
he had
looked good.
himself a game.
He did, yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't play for the Eagles at all during his career, so I don't know if you're going to have a revenge game this week.
No, I'm just
Yeah,
saying
the
like
defense
that was
was
one
good
of the
though.
things I was excited about with
The
that Vikings
defensive line, yeah,
defense.
that was always my big question mark there is health, because when healthy, I
Mhm.
love their pass rushers.
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean,
Danielle Hunter, Zadarius
I,
Smith, those were two
yeah,
really good
I'm,
edge
I'm one
rushers.
of the biggest Danielle Hunter fans in the league. I love the guy. He just can't stay on the field. But when they
Right.
are on the field, and like I said, this is early in the season, they're going to be playing right now.
Right.
He's a good player. Their corners and their
The
their corners,
secondary is questionable.
secondary is still a question mark.
Yeah.
And the Eagles have a little bit better of a wide receiver core than Green Bay does.
Yeah.
But they also don't have to play Aaron Rodgers this week. So I
Take
think
the
Jalen
good with the
Hurts.
bad.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. In a weird way though, like I said, I don't know if it's just like curse games, like or anything like that. I'm gonna take the Eagles in this one. I think the Eagles at home. I think they're gonna run the ball really well in this game as well. And I think AJ Brown could have a big game. And it's almost kind of similar to, like I said, like with the Colts and the Jags and the Bears and the Packers. Is until I see Kirk Cousins come out and perform on Monday Night Football,
Yep.
something that he, for some weird reason, never does. I can't pick the Vikings. But that being said, I have Kirk Cousins in a 2 quarterback league paired with Justin Jefferson. So I'm hoping he has a great game. It's not that I'm rooting for him to fail, because I'm definitely not. I promise you that. I'm hoping he has as good of a game as any Minnesota fan out there. But until I see it on a Monday night, I can't in good conscience pick them. I'm going to go with the Eagles. They got a lot to clean up in that defense, but they are clearly talented there in Philadelphia. And this is a good chance for that secondary to kind of show that talent a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I went back and forth on this one because this was on the part 1 episode for this week. I said that there were 3 non-Rams games I was really excited for. The Thursday night game with Kansas City and the Chargers, the Ravens and Dolphins game, and then this was game number 3 right here, the Vikings and the Eagles. This is 2 teams that I was really high on coming into the year. That both had really good week 1s, and I think this is going to make for a really, really fun game. And I went back and forth over and over on who to pick with this one. And it's funny because kind of the determining factor, the tiebreaker, was a mix of the fact that the Eagles were the home team and the Kirk Cousins primetime struggles. Because it is not a small sample anymore. It's been this way for a while, and for whatever reason, it has worked out the way to where Kirk does struggle in primetime. So, as you said, until I see otherwise, And things could be different with the new coaching staff, Kevin O'Connell. Maybe he works out the kinks, and maybe this offense is just really, truly taking to the next level to where
Yeah,
on a week
it
by
looked
week
really
basis, they're dependable, and you know what you're getting, and you don't
loved
have
it.
an extremely old defensive coach, you know, handling
I
the
do. I
offense
do like
anymore.
I do like the Vikings as well. So I like the team. I like the fan
Yeah.
base there. I've always liked the Vikings. Love the uniforms as well. Some of the best helmets in football. The aesthetic there is beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Eagles. It's really close, and
If you did
this
not
was
know,
the toughest game for me to
yeah,
pick.
well, just to let you know how close it is, Eagles are minus 138 favorites in this, which is literally just because they're the home team. They're
Yeah,
favored to win. The point spread is -2. That's how close the point spread is in this game.
and from what I've
15.
heard, you typically get like 3 points for being the home team. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're like it's
Normally a
still not
3 point.
even
Yeah, you're
the
not even the full
full
home
spread.
home advantage. Yeah. So man, this is
It's gonna
interesting.
be a good ass game to end the
It's
week
gonna
on,
be
man.
so good, man. Especially after we get to watch the bloodbath that Tennessee and Buffalo is sometimes before. Yeah, man, this game's gonna be awesome to watch. I'm looking forward to it, and it's a great end of the week. What, like Drew said, it's a great way to end the week. So
Yeah.
yeah, that takes care of our week 2 preview here. We went through all the games. Let us know in the description. Drop some picks down there, and if you are interested, we are doing a pick 'em this week as well. So we're going to be doing a pick 'em that you can go ahead. I'll post it on our Twitter account at 3 Man Rush Podcast. I will post a link to it where you can join us, pick some games with us as well. And we will also, with Jared, we'll be doing throwing up some FanDuel contests as well throughout the year. Uh, Maybe not this week. I think next week will probably be our first one of the week that we're going to end up doing. But you can play against us on FanDuel where we as a team will set a lineup. You can buy in with us. It's only like $1 buy-in. Winner takes all. However many people we can get is going to be the cash prize. And there's a chance for you to win some money and set a lineup and play against us in DFS as well. And don't forget, if you are interested in DFS, we will be dropping the DFS show here in a couple days on Friday. Jared will be
Yeah.
joining us.
Keep an eye out on the Twitter account. Keep an eye out on the YouTube account. We'll be going live Friday night once we're all set up and ready, probably around like 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. For you guys that are in Eastern time zone, we'll be going live on our Twitter account and our YouTube account with some DFS content, and then of course it'll be available on the YouTube account and a Twitter account afterward if you want to watch it back. But if you want to hang out and experience it live with us, 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. We'll be going live on both platforms, so come hang
Yeah.
out with us. It's a lot more fun when there's people hanging out, and we can throw your if you're on YouTube, we can throw your comments up on the screen and discuss your thoughts on things we're talking about, stuff like that too. So it just makes it that much more fun.
Yeah, if it's anything like last week's show was, like, it was a lot. It was a fun show. We had so much
Yeah.
fun. We'll see if any celebrities die between now and then that we can get some. Hopefully not. We don't like seeing anybody go through that,
No.
but yeah, man, it was a wild show. So it's always fun to
Yeah.
come hang out with you guys, especially whenever we're going live. So be on the lookout for that, and also help subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know we talked about that at the
We're
beginning,
on
but
the road to
yeah,
100, man.
we're on the road to 100. So thank you guys so much for the support. And then as well, thank you for the support as well. All the episodes are available right now on Spotify. This one will be dropping. The week 1 dropped today, or the part 1 dropped today. So week 1 or part 2 will be dropping tomorrow. So thanks for that as well. You can subscribe, leave us a review, rate us 5 stars, 1 star, like whatever stars you want. If you think we're the worst in the world, you still
At
watch.
least tell us why.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah,
can try to improve.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and we'll be seeing you here Friday night. So keep an eye out, and see you guys then.